So, welcome to the Metal Alliance. New name. Tim came up with that one. I thought it was fantastic. That's great. Just to have something to go by here. Of course, channels being shown through my Vinyl Vengeance, and we've got Tim at that Thrash Metal Guy 79. And we are going to be having a chat about 10 songs that we've picked out that do not come from what we would consider our favorite album from that band or that. And I don't know about you, Tim. I tried to stick with metal, but I might have one or two more hard rock in the hard rock category. Like most of our videos, kind of runs like I've got
Yeah.
quite a bit of a mix here.
Like my first six were like so automatic. And then I was like trying to think of other bands and I'm like, no, that's on the same album. No. And I'm like, damn. And then like something would pop in my head. I'm like, oh yeah. So I had to write like two or three of them down when I was at work.
Yeah. I thought I was gonna have to cheat. I really did. I thought I was gonna. I try. I didn't want to lie, but I was going
I
through.
mean, who's gonna know?
And then there's some bands where I'm like, I can't pick a favorite album. I mean, I could pick
Right.
one, but it might be different tomorrow. It might be different later in the day. And so
Yeah.
I really tried to zone in or zero in on. Yes, there is a band that album is by far maybe it's my first one. A lot of times, bands
Right.
that first listen to them and it impacts you and that one sticks with you, but then later on there's another album where a song really connected and it may hold as high theme as that favorite album, but you
Right.
it's a go-to song. But yeah, ultimately it after I started working on it all kind of fell into place, so I didn't have to stress over this list, this which is good. So, and I pulled out an extra one just in case there was a one that we both came up with, but I don't foresee that happening.
I don't see it happening either. There's too many dynamics on that. You got the what would the favorite album be, and then also what would the favorite song be. So that's you know to get it exact, I think would probably be impossible
Yeah.
between two people anyway. Yeah,
Possible that we might pick the same album for a favorite, but then again, that's kind of a are you so oh yeah, that must be
he is.
him. I'll admit I did take a quick little half shot that before earlier, but
I'm on number three, so
well,
not drunk, but I definitely wouldn't go drive.
yeah. So it's a good thing we're doing this. You're not out there
Right?
endangering those the other.
No, 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 no.
Uh,
My last drunk driving experience was in 2022. No, sorry, 2002. 2002. Yeah. And after that experience, I was like, "That's I can't ever do that." Because I remembered leaving, and I remember getting home. I didn't remember anything in between.
yeah,
But I know that I took somebody else home before I went home, so I was like, "Yeah, I can't do that anymore."
yeah. With my job, it's kind of a no go because it's
Oh yeah.
you get caught, you lose your teaching license, and it's not.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
prior to being a teacher, yeah, there were times I took a chance. Diddy, free Diddy. Diddy will be out. It won't be too long, and Diddy will be out. We're already
Well,
talking about it.
I'm gonna go ahead and show my couple of my recent spins.
Yeah.
So the first one, I got this in my Metalhead box subscription pretty early on, I think. Um, and this is House of Atreus, and the album is called "The Spear and the Ichor That Follows." Released. This is on Dark Descent Records, and 2015. These guys are a death metal band that I cannot remember exactly from, um, but it's very much kind of in the vein of the original Swedish death metal movement before the melodic movement happened. There was, two different things that were going on there. It's got a little bit of that. There's a little bit of American style there as well. But really, really well done. I think it's supposed to be a concept album. It's really kind of hard to tell with death metal albums, but it's still just listening wise, it's really good. I listened to that earlier today.
Yeah, I've almost picked that one up before. I don't remember which site I was looking at one, but I like the cover. It's different, just not typical metal black
Now
metal.
this next one is a local band that I didn't find out they were local until I bought this album. And the band is called Demiser. The album is called Through the Gate Eternal. And these guys are a black and thrash metal band from South Carolina, but I don't necessarily think they're from Columbia. This is on, not quite sure how to read that logo, to be honest. I'm not even going to try because I don't want to mess that up. This is their first album, and it came out. I don't know if I can find it on here anywhere, but they have a second album as well that came out last year that's even better than this. This is more raw and more into the black and thrash sound. Their second album has a little bit more melody to it and does have some groove as well, which makes it a better album in my opinion. But this is no slouch right here. This is great. I do know that they are on Amazon Music streaming. So I don't know about any of the other ones.
Tim, what was the name of that band again?
Demiser, Demiser.
Of course, folks, we know everything's backwards.
Right.
It's a title that, or an album we're not sure you're gonna recognize. We'll spell it out for you.
What do you got?
All right, these are newly acquired. One is a UK comp. So let's see. Fast Forward to Hell, and it is a mix of UK, German. That's it. UK and German bands, but probably some recognizable: Angel Dust, Death Wish, Necronomicon, which is German, Virus out of the UK, Exhumer, Germany, Angels of Malice, which not familiar with, and then Deliverance, not
Nice.
not the California Christian Deliverance, but band from the UK. So some of the tracks I think are from their studio albums, but there's probably I'm sure there's probably some on no copyright date on it. So, but I believe it was from maybe like 85, 86.
Oh, okay. Is that a reissue?
No, that's an OG. And as far as I know, it was only released in the UK, and I can't even tell you. Maybe I don't know. I can't. The label is kind of hard to. It's going to be backwards anyway. But I'll show it. That maybe metalized, or I have no clue. Metalworks. Yeah, Metalworks is the label. So anyway, yep. That was a one and done, not repressed. And this is a repress, an Angel Dust lead. So this is one of the bands that was on that comp, and I think this was not one of their original two. So I think they came out with two in the late '80s. Came out I think in the late '90s or maybe early 2000s. I think their fourth studio album. I haven't listened to it yet, but it's gotten a lot of good write-ups online. Pretty cool colored splatter.
If I remember correctly, their albums are very different from each other.
Yeah. I mean, I guess at one point they were considered thrash, but there's a little bit of, I don't know, maybe a little bit of power
progressive
thing. I don't know. Assassin, never owned this. I've had it. CDR of it years ago, and this is their first full length, but great German thrash. And this is another one, a repress on High Roller Records. So you get a poster, you get all sorts of inserts with it. Not going to pull all that out, but you get your money's worth. If you end up paying under $30 for one of these, you're getting a whole lot of cool stuff. And
Well,
let's see, throw up one more, one that I held off a long time picking up, and that was most recent Sacred Reich. And the most
yeah,
recent, probably like what, 6, 7 years old now, might even be older than that.
I think it's older than that. I think it
Yeah.
came out in 2019, wasn't it?
Looks like 2018, but I don't have my glasses on,
Okay.
so I could be off. But Metal Blade, short. I think it's only 3 minutes, maybe 30, 31, 32, but it's Sacred Reich, so it will be a good listen.
Oh yeah. I'll show one more since you showed four. Um, Black Age Blues from Goat Snake out of Nolans. Really
Yeah,
good. I
dude.
think it's a little bit of stoner with the sludge.
Yeah.
Um, but really, really good stuff. I bought
Yes,
this.
guys. I think two of those guys were with the Obsessed at one point with Wino.
All right, let's go ahead and get into the topic.
Yeah, you can start us off.
I don't have these in any particular order, and I don't think you probably do either. Um, so I'm gonna just run down the list as is. So my first one is from Metallica. They were my favorite band growing up, and they stayed that way until the minute I heard Black Sabbath. Then everything changed for me after that. My favorite album of theirs has always been "Injustice for All." My favorite song, however, comes from a couple records before, "Ride the Lightning," "Creeping Death." I absolutely love that song. The
Yeah,
subject matter, everything about that song. Um, I only wish it could have been on "Injustice for All."
yeah, yep. That's great, great album and great song. And Creeping Death. I mean that one I love. Probably my favorite on the album, but actually Ride the Lightning is almost impactful. Love that too. So yeah, I didn't go with Metallica. They were one I was having a hard time trying to narrow down a favorite album. So the first one I've got is "Pull Me Under." Favorite song. It was the first one I heard from Dream Theater. It's always been my favorite. Uh, but when Scenes from a Memory came out, I remember getting the not just the CD, but also getting the live DVD and watching it, and all the scenes and the whole story behind that. And that album whole is by far my favorite Dream Theater. So, but I always go back to "Pull Me Under." It's listen to that on loop and not get tired of it. I just never understood why it just cuts off at the end, though. I, I don't know if they just lost part of the track or they did it for get people talking about it, but just one of those that just cuts off.
Yeah, I'm not a big Dream Theater guy. I could probably count on one hand the amount of times I've listened to them. Um, I have a short attention span, so their their songs t- tend to go into the 15, 20 minute mark
Yeah,
often. I
yeah.
mean, so
See, I have no problem with that. I was raised on Yes and Genesis. Sometimes the longer the better with the prog songs, if they're written well. You know,
right.
got to be because there can be some that are just it's monotonous, doesn't seem to go anywhere, it's not doing anything, and
That's why I really felt that the last few Iron Maiden albums have really not hit with me because it seems like every song had to be that long. You might get one 4.5, 5 minute track. The rest of them are 7, 8, 9, 11 minutes long. And I'm like, and it really, to me, they don't go anywhere. They don't do anything for me.
yeah,
So
I can agree with that too.
my next one is from Motorhead. And my favorite album from them is Overkill. But my favorite song is on the other album that came out that year, Bomber, and it is gonna be ironic because it's not a fast song. Sweet Revenge is my favorite Motorhead song.
Hmm. I'm gonna have to revisit that song. Check it out.
And the first time I actually heard that song was actually on a Christian album called Assassination, and they covered that. And the first time I heard the song, I was like, "Man, it's really it's kind of doomy." And then eventually I would hear the original version and fell in love with it, and it's been my favorite song ever since.
Yeah, I think Bomber is definitely an underrated album. That was, I think most people go to Ace of Spades, go to Overkill, and or the live album, and Bomber's got some killer tracks on.
Yeah, it's a very close second for me, which is why I almost didn't add it.
Mm, I understand. Well, I know there's some people that wouldn't understand this, but this is not my favorite. So I'm showing. I guess I didn't specify that once we started, but I'm showing the albums with the favorite track. So favorite track for Slayer is Death. Just uh, I'm not like me who gets upset with World War II and all that, but um, I think that song does such a great job of vocalizing some of the atrocities of the what the Nazis did.
Yeah,
That song to me, just the rest of the album is good. I see people like it, but that song to me was always one of my favorites of theirs. But then Seasons in the Abyss is by far, blow by blow, song by song, my favorite
yep,
album. And like
yep.
you said, I could see that song. I could see this song either interchanging with War Ensemble or uh, being put anywhere. I don't think I
They're
would.
very
Death.
similar in that opening riff. The opening riff to both songs is really similar.
Yeah, I think maybe I would put Angel of Death like after Dead Skin Mask. Put it in the middle of the album so that you had I leave it here, but I think it would still work if you put that right in the middle, and then you had Seasons at the end, ensemble at the beginning.
Yeah, I wanted to try to justify doing what you did, but I just love the title track to Seasons too much. So I wasn't able to do it. To me, I think that's the best. That song showcases Dave Lombardo's abilities like the best.
I still remember the first time seeing the Seasons in the Abyss, and that prior to that, I was still kind of weary of Slayer and
Hmm.
look at the album covers, but after that, I was like, I've got it out. It was kind of a no brainer at that point.
I was the same way until I saw the video for War Ensemble, and that just like completely changed everything for me. I was like, "Well, this is just fantastic." I don't know what I was scared of.
It killer thrash. I mean, I
Yep.
guess thought of Slayer as something other than thrash. I don't know. At that point, death metal was just popping up, but yeah,
Hmm.
I didn't put Slayer in the same category as Metallica and Megadeth and Anthrax, and I thought they were something a whole lot more. And not taking away what they are, but yeah, they ultimately they're thrash.
I
They're what.
think I think lyrically, especially on that Rain of Blood album, I think lyrically you started to get the what would become with death metal as far as the graphic nature of dismemberment and those kind of things.
Mhm.
Um, so them and Sodom and Creator were the thrash proto death metals.
Yeah, true.
All right, number three. I already mentioned my favorite band, Black Sabbath. My favorite album is Master of Reality, but my favorite song is Symptom of the Universe.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I had been into Sabbath for a little while, not too long. Still at this point, Metallica is probably my favorite band. And then I heard the song Symptom of the Universe. Another instance where I heard the cover first by Sepultura. And then I went and was able to get um, it was a 3 disc set that I got called the Ozzy Osbourne years. And it was probably like a bootleg CD or something, because I don't think it was anything that was like really in stores. I got it at a music store called the Soundgarden in Virginia Beach, and when I heard the original version, that cemented Black Sabbath to be my favorite band of all time right there. I mean, to me, I think it's the perfect heavy metal song.
Yeah, that's a great one. That's another band I have a hard time, really hard time. I mean, I could a lot of times if somebody said, "Oh, okay, favorite Sabbath album," I would probably throw out Volume 4, but I also, I cut my teeth on Paranoid, and I love the atmospheric nature of the first one, and Sabbath Bloody Sabbath is cool with the little added keyboards in there. Yeah, I feel like it's sacrilege to narrow down. And then
Yeah,
same way
volume
about the
four,
other singers.
volume four gets a notch below just because of Laguna Sunrise and Changes. I mean, Changes is, I've said it before, got to be the most depressing song ever created in the history of mankind. Like, you cannot have just gotten out of a relationship and then listen to that song, because you will kill yourself. It's not. I mean, it's inevitable. There's no way in hell you can do it.
Yeah, yeah. There's some other music out there like I've thought about that in the last couple of months. When you're dealing with loss or something, there's just some songs you want to stay clear of.
Brilliant. Yep.
Um, I'm gonna throw out a horrible one. Anybody watching this is gonna be like, I'm losing metal headbangers card, but like Boys to Men, it's over by to yesterday. You don't need to hear that when you've had a loss in your family. It's not that.
I was just talking to my wife about this on Sunday, um, because she was we have a worship team and we have a choir, and she at first called the choir the chorus. I said, no, that's a choir. She's like, well, what's the difference? Was like, well, choir is generally going to be something spiritual, and it's adults. Chorus is like middle school, high school type stuff,
Mhm.
and I fresh out.
Mm. Yeah, I was in choir all the way through 12th grade in high school, and at one point, I know we did a Boys to Men song. I don't remember which one it was, but we did Billy Joel, and actually, I even tried out for. He had the teacher had an ensemble, so four guys and four girls trying out, and this one of the songs that I used was Striper's song, because I was like, it's hard. It's
Yeah,
especially a cappella. So that was I don't know how well I did, but I did get accepted in the group, so been too
you
bad.
did well enough.
Yeah. All right. Is it my turn?
Yep.
I've lost track. All right, next one. Another extreme metal. So Napalm Death. Favorite. I'm actually going to mention the favorite album first. My favorite album is Fear, Emptiness, Despair. Oh, I don't know that there's a single song that necessarily, but the whole album is. I know not their most aggressive. You'd probably have to go back to one of the prior albums, or even go back to the Lee Doran era. Of course, some of the songs were like 10 seconds long.
Right.
Um, Fear, Emptiness was, I guess, that was where they started getting into the death metal. But on this album, Greed Killing, the lead off track, it's a song. It's trapped in my head. Haven't gotten tired of that one. I like that song probably more than any one song on Fear, Emptiness.
I
So,
would
and I think that one was a single because they pulled that one off and didn't eat it too.
I would probably have to say Harmony Corruption, my favorite Napalm album.
That's a great
Um,
one.
the first time I ever heard about it actually was on my brother had bought the original Mortal Kombat soundtrack on CD when the Mortal Kombat movie came out.
Hmm.
And so you had bands like Typo Negative, Fear Factory, Napalm was on there, and they had a song on there called "Twist the Knife Slowly." That was my introduction to Napalm Death.
Yeah, I think
And
they had that one too.
yeah, so I don't know if I can necessarily call it my favorite, but that's just like my introduction to them was that song.
Yeah, great stuff.
I'm gonna go with my third straight British band. Why not? Gonna go with the mighty Iron Maiden. My favorite album from them is Power Slave from '84. But my favorite song comes off of their debut. I
Yeah,
love everything about that song. I love the storyline. I love the guitar work on that album. I would have really loved to seen what Killers could have been if Dennis Stratton had still been in the band. I know it's only a small sample size, but I think that Stratton and Murray were a better combination. And I'm not going to knock. Um,
Adrian Smith.
yeah, I don't know how I just forgot his name. I'm not going to knock Adrian Smith whatsoever. But I just think that album, regardless of how much Steve Harris wants to say they were not influenced by punk, he might not have been. But that album, it has a huge, huge punk vibe, and
Yeah,
I think Dennis and probably Paul had as much to do with that because they didn't stay that aggressive really after that record. Um, but I
there's shades of it on Killers, but yeah, by the time they got to the third album with Bruce, it was not really. It was
yeah, it all
all metal.
became more melodic. Um, But yeah, I've always, I mean, to me, that's about as perfect a debut record you're going to have.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. That's why Maiden is one yeah, just have a hard time. I can pick a favorite song. Picking a favorite album, I can't do it. I can't. It's gonna. I guess it's kind of like that cliche statement of trying to pick their favorite kid. They all have great qualities, and you see the good.
Right.
I Maiden, I can't do it.
It took me a lot of years before I could pick that as my favorite, because I had the debut as my favorite for a long time, and then just over repetition of hearing, I think um, the riffs on that album, I think, are some of their best written riffs on the album. I do think my only critique of that album would just be the fact that you had two songs about fencing. You know, you had the Duelist and Flash of the Blade, which were basically the same thing. But you know, Bruce is writing, so what are you going to do?
Yeah, there are some lesser tracks on Power Slave. I mean, the great ones are. I had pulled that one. That was going to be one of my extras, but "Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner" is by far my favorite Maiden song. Power Slave is, or not Power Slave, but is definitely my top five. Um,
Mhm.
but then yeah, there's some lesser tracks. I don't want to say throwaways, but there's other albums where I get full into all of the
Right.
songs.
I
There's
just I just think the stronger songs on it outweigh almost completely full albums by the band. I mean, you got Aces High, you got 2 Minutes to Midnight,
mhm,
um, you got Back in the Village, the title track, Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. Um, I would pick Transylvania over Lost for Words for my favorite Maiden instrumental.
yeah,
But it's not a bad one. I just think it does a little bit more repeating than Transylvania does. But and mainly strictly for the songs Power Slave and Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, I would take those two songs over an entire album.
right on. All right, my next band is Fate's Warning. My favorite album is Awaken the Guardian. Um,
I think a lot of people went that route,
yeah,
honestly.
and I know some that would go with Brocken with the first one. I don't know too many people that go with Spectre, the second one, but that's a great album. But my favorite song by them, of course, this is where the prog prog fan and prog metal starts coming in, and so this kind of harkens back to Dream Theater and Pull Me Under. My favorite track by them is actually with Ray in the band, and it's another kind of almost, I wouldn't say poppy, but more um, trying to think of the term, uh, more
Melodic.
well, maybe melodic, yes, and of course, video for Monument, and so
Mm.
Monument, one of the later songs on there. I love that song. Probably about the same reasons that I love "Pull Me Under." It was one of the earlier songs that I heard from, even though this was three. I think this was 3 albums into him being and but Monument was one that hooked me, and then from there I was I was pretty much grabbing anything from the band that I could find.
Hmm. Spectre is actually the only one that I have. I'm trying to get the one that Ron's selling.
Trying to think which one, because
I can't think of the name. It's got this like weird, like down the hallway look to the cover.
no
Um,
no exit with the red. It's
yeah,
got red.
yeah, yeah.
Yep. So I've got that one on CD and record, and that's good. That's the Ray's first album. So it still has some of the old, more traditional metal sound, but also just barely touching in some of the more proggier. I don't know that there's any keyboards on it, but there'll be a little bit of guitar noodling going. It's a great one though.
My next one, I'm gonna go um pretty close to your original neck of the woods. I don't know exactly how close it was. Um,
Long Island.
Long Island, Brighton Beach, Brooklyn area, I guess. Um, Typo Negative.
Yeah. Peter Steele.
Like I said, one of the bands that was on the that soundtrack that I mentioned earlier. I cannot remember the song that was on that album though. Um, but October Rust is my favorite um Typo Negative album, and quite honestly, after the first one, we have like a 3 album run there of Bloody Kisses, October Rust, and World Coming Down, where if you told me either one of those was your favorite, I wouldn't be able to argue honestly.
Mhm.
Um, but my favorite song actually comes on the second record, Bloody Kisses, and that's Black Number One. I've always just loved his um, very in touch with a more gothic and dark and mysterious side of things where even but still they throughout all their music they still kept a lot of tongue-in-cheek type stuff too.
Yeah.
um but I always loved that about Typo Negative. I was so fortunate to be able to see them on the World Coming Down tour um with Coal Chamber in 2000. um but I mean that's another one kind of like the Metallica thing, like I wish that could have been on a October Rust, but then I mean, what do you take off? I mean, that's such a phenomenal record too.
So what do you how do you classify Slow D Origin of Feces albums? Are you kind of lump them in as like a live album, and I think one was a live in the studio.
Well, Slow Deep and Hard was just a debut record. Um, didn't have as much of the crossover leanings as well, it had a little bit more, I should say, than what the follow up Bloody Kisses had.
Still had a
Um,
little bit of carnivore. What is it? Carnivore.
Carnivore, yeah, still a little bit of Carnivore there. Um, and then you kind of start to see how it's going to really take shape. And then when you get the Bloody Kisses, you really kind of get the idea. Um, Origin of the Feces. I mean, it's. I actually had it on CD, and I had it on CD by accident. And I'll tell you how that happened. So I bought a CD player for my truck, and this was God years ago, 2001 ish, I guess. And it was a used CD player. And when I went to put a CD in, it wouldn't take CD. So I just was like, I'll hit the eject button, and that CD came out. So I didn't have a case for it or anything. I had no idea what it was at the time. It was just, whatever that display was on the disc itself. Um, you know, I'm not going to bash on it the way a lot of people have because they're not the first one to do it. I mean, it was infamously Kiss with Kiss Alive 1. and people still count it as one of their favorite live albums. So I don't, and it fits a lot for me with the sense of humor that Peter had.
Yeah,
I think that was a big part of doing it the way they did it.
it was all.
And
Yeah, I mean, his calling out somebody in the crowd and cussing at them, and it was all.
and then saying everybody needed to leave because there was a bomb in the building, and he's like, "What are you doing? Get up, go!" And I'm like, I mean, to me, it's just like it. You won't understand it if you haven't seen them live, and I was able to see them live. So, just like he's just sitting there playing, and he's got a wine bottle. He's just banging on his bass, and that, like, middle of the set, just takes his bass strings and pulls them out of the bass, and I'm like, huh? Like, what's going on here? Like, I mean, announcing that your happy tune is everything dies. I mean, Peter Steele to me was just the attitude that he had. I wish a lot more people did. He took the music seriously, but never took himself too seriously.
Yeah. Yep. He was definitely unique, but then again, there was so much Brooklyn attitude just out of.
And not just in him. I mean, the rest of the band kind of fit in there as well. I mean, when you think of some of their opening tracks to some of their albums, like the grounding sound on October Rust, and then they all come in laughing, and they're like, and then very kind of like unapologetically, hope you enjoyed our joke, type thing, or that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, to put that at the beginning of the album, I know there's plenty of bands that'll throw the spoof track end. They can either hide it after however number of minutes,
Right.
or throw it on there. But to start an album with that that says a lot about that. They had a I don't give a crap attitude that just permeated that band. All right, next up for me, get the beard out of the way. Happens to be the band that I'm wearing the shirt, but those of you watching, it's backwards, and who knows what that looks like. But yeah, the band Deceased. Now, Tim, pretty certain I've already mentioned to you what my favorite album is. So, Fearless Undead Machines, just as a whole, I love this zombie genre of movies, and so the little interludes that they have in there, and the stuff that they've added in from the movies. But I was into that band before that came out, and I'd have to say favorite track is Nuclear Exorcist from 13 Frightened Ghosts, which this or 13 Frightened Souls, which is just E. So there's only 5 songs in here, but I think Robotic Village was the first one I heard from this band on a Nuclear Assault, or maybe a Relapse comp that had a bunch of bands. But Nuclear Exorcist is such a killer death metal song. And so, yeah, I've got to put that one as my favorite from the band going back. And then, of course, that song, a bunch of the ones that were on and their first full length, all were songs that they have been playing for years. And a bunch, I think a lot of those songs show up on demo tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Those people that are fans of the band, you probably have. I've got the demos on a 3 vinyl set. I've got, I don't know, 2 or 3 different CDs of demo tracks from them. They're a band that really did a lot of demoing before they
Mm-hmm.
Relapse Records.
Was Luck of the Corpse their first or second?
First full length.
Okay,
Yep.
that's what I thought. I'm going to stay in the States, but I'm going to go all the way to the West Coast.
West Coast Weapon.
So my favorite thrash band is Testament, and my favorite album of theirs is The Gathering. But my favorite song of theirs comes all the way back from their second record, Disciples of the Watch.
Yeah.
And I think part of that is because I was able to figure out what it was about like really quickly.
The
Because
children.
once I heard the line about Malachi, I was like, oh, I know exactly what that's about.
Yep.
You know,
Another movie reference.
yep, Children of the Corn. That's what I was like, yep, I know exactly what this song. And I mean, to me, it's just such a the riffs on it, and the soloing and everything else about. I mean, New Order is, I mean, such a close second to me, to the Gathering for my favorite. I just like the Gathering better because it is more brutal. They coming off of Demonic, which was maybe too heavy for some Testament fans, not to me because I think the heavier the better, in my opinion. Um, but I think it was enough of a bridge of low and demonic together, where you had the really brutal stuff, and there was some melody, but not a whole lot. And then you have the all star cast. You got Dave Lombardo on drums, and you know James Murphy on guitar.
Hmm.
I want to say, who was on bass on that album? I can't remember. I really want to say DiGiorgio was on bass, but I might be wrong. Um,
Is
but
that
Disciples of Watch, man. Oh my God, that song.
Yeah, that's a great one. Great album. I mean, that was a great follow up to the Ritual. And the Rituals, obviously first album,
You mean the Legacy?
Legacy. That's right. Yeah, Legacy, and maybe they'll, they didn't have the money for the studio, but the rawness for me, that one is comparable to Kill 'Em All. It's just
Yeah.
tense, and yeah, sometimes that raw helps. That might be what some bands are missing nowadays.
Yeah. The only thing I
Polished.
didn't like about Legacy was it's kind of similar to like Paranoid or some other albums where the volume in the EQ is turned really low. So you really got to throw it really up to max to be able to hear it
Yeah.
well. That's my only complaint about that album.
And of course, I only have the original. No, I take that back. I've got an OG copy of the New Order, but they're the first album. I have a I don't know, one of the represses,
Yeah.
re-release. It wasn't remastered but
No, it definitely wasn't because it sounds like that. It still has that little sound in it, and I was kind of hoping with it being a repress that it would have eliminated that issue, and it didn't.
well, and there's another version that I think it's Nuclear Blast that recently re-released first three, but I think there's been multiple represses because
Yeah,
Legacy and the New Order have different covers. They've been redone, and I wasn't sure whether they had remixed, not just done the remaster, but actually remixed any of it, any of the music. I've not touched any of those recent, any of the testaments that have been last year.
this one is the one that was done on Music on Vinyl and Atlantic. I don't know if that was because Megaforce, I think, put out the original.
Yeah, and music on vinyl is, in my opinion, usually pretty good. I mean,
They
they
are. I mean, I have another Testament album that was done by them.
Souls
Souls
of
in
Black.
Black.
Yeah,
Souls of,
I've,
yeah,
I've
which
got
that
Souls of
one gets a
Black.
lot of crap, and I get it because they think it was rushed because they had to get on the Clash of the Titans tour.
Yeah,
I think it's a really good album.
yeah, I liked it every bit as much as Practice What You Preach, and then
Trying,
Low was also released on music on vinyl at some point because I've got that.
trying to see what year this was the repress, but because it's only showing me the original release year '87.
Mm,
It may not be on here, but I don't think it is. Originally released in '87, Atlantic Recording Corporation. Okay, 2021.
okay, yeah, just a few.
When it got distributed by Music on Vinyl. And I know what you're talking about because I have one of those nuclear blast versions of Practice What You Preach. And my wife bought I want to say it came from Sweden or Switzerland. She bought us an OG copy of New Order, and
Yeah.
it's on the Megaforce label. I mean, it's like right there on the center part. Huh? Okay, she thinks it's Sweden.
See, I've got my New Order is an original Canadian press.
Okay, I'm not quite sure. I'm gonna go grab that one now because I'm not sure where it was pressed. Or then again, not like I really know how to find that information out. Atlantic Recording, Rockefeller Plaza, New York. Back doesn't give me any information, at least. Let's see if I can read any of this.
Yeah, you'll need a magnifying glass, especially if it's Euro press. They're typical smaller print.
Megaforce Worldwide. I'm not even going to try this. It's on Megaforce. That's all anybody needs to know. Not
Yeah,
like they typically need to know that either, but
could be an OG because they weren't repressed up until recently.
yeah.
You know, unless it's something that was pressed out of Bill or somewhere down in South America, then it could have been whenever.
Right.
But yeah, you probably have if it's either a U.S., Canada, or some. Okay. Alrighty, guess my turn again.
Your turn again.
All right. Iced Earth. Favorite album, The Dark Saga. Again,
Mine too.
another concept album. Love it all from beginning to end. Great. But first track that I heard from the band was Last December. And so I have to go to that as far as that being my favorite. It's short. It's not like Dante, which that's an awesome track. But Last December, I guess, because it's what I heard. I think I heard
Right.
that on radio. I think I got that one on another comp, and yeah, that's I'd have to say that's my favorite from the band. From
I
that,
don't like when they re-recorded Dante in 2016. I think it was. No, 2000, whenever they first got Stu Block. So it must have been like 2009, I think. They re-recorded it and they shortened it by like 6 minutes. And I was like, I don't
I
like that
think
at
I
all.
heard. Was it on one of their EPs? I don't remember.
Yeah, it was on an EP or like a single or something. And I was just like, how can you like take almost half the freaking song off? I mean, it's not like it's like one of their, kind of throwaway tracks. I mean, it's like, you know, um, God. So yeah, I go with the same album as you. Man, pick a song though. Oh, I got in them late in the party. I saw them open for Megadeth in '01.
Oh,
I'd heard about them. I'd heard about them for a while, but that was my first time actually listening to them. And that was back when Matt Barlow still had all his hair. He hadn't cut it and then joined the police force yet. And I swear his hair was as long as he was tall. I
yeah.
mean, it was just like wow. And probably the only song title I can remember from that show, just because of the way he announced it. My favorite song would probably still would be on that album, "Vengeance Is Mine." The way he introduced it, I mean, I'll never forget because it was not long after September 11th, and I was in. I saw it at a club called the Norvo, which is in Norfolk, Virginia, and obviously knew that it was a military town. And he said, this for all the military members and all this. And he said, this song goes out to Osama Bitch Laden. Vengeance is mine. And like we all lost it. I was like, I don't even know. I don't even care if the song's good. That was just like such a great intro into the song.
Very cool. Yeah, I've yet to see them live.
What's
That's
our thoughts on Ozzy? My favorite song does come from my favorite album. Favorite album is No Rest for the Wicked. My favorite song is Bloodbath in Paradise. I love that song.
See, in Ozzy's one, I can't narrow down an album, and I don't know that I can narrow down a song. Same thing with Sabbath. I just have it so much I love. There are plenty of songs. I know Ozzy's come up a bunch. The GNR lives that you all have done. I know, like Ron, there's certain, some of the stuff where it's kind of hit or miss with some of the Ozzy songs, and but I just, yeah, I have such a hard time narrowing down to a favorite. It I can listen to any of them, but I definitely, I guess I would go from like Osmosis to Blizzard, and then the later stuff I could probably do without. Um, but Osmosis was the last one that really impacted me as an album, and I went back to it. That was the first one I spun when Ozzy died, and it's an emotional. It's got some emotional songs on there, but some good rockers too. Somebody said this is so weird. You literally have twins from Brighton, UK, on live stream. I wonder if two guys that look like us. I don't know.
I think there's two guys in the maybe in the chat.
Maybe.
Maybe. Scream was a good album, though. I thought it definitely was a huge step up from Black Rain, which I thought was just awful.
Yeah, none of those have. I've gone back and picked up a few of those later ones, but let's say I got Patient Number 9 when it came out. I have picked up Scream, and I've picked up Black Rain. But yeah, I've got to give them a few more spins before I make any long term, decisions on those.
All right. Now going right back to the UK for my second favorite band, which is Judas Priest. Favorite album is Painkiller. I don't think I've probably made that any more obvious than on any other discussion we've ever had. But my favorite song of theirs, the funny part of it is, I didn't hear the original version with Rob Halford first. I heard it on Live Meltdown first,
Huh?
and it comes from a couple records prior, Defenders of the Faith with The Sentinel.
Sentinel, yeah.
That another one that could have easily been a song that could have made it on a Painkiller.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And that's a standout track for me too. That and Free Will Burning
Oh
from them.
yeah, yeah.
They're just, yeah. Love but the Sentinel, I just love that imagery, and if you're paying attention to the lyrics, it just kind of, it's like watching a movie. You got this
Yeah.
battle one,
And that's the thing I think a lot of people really, I won't say gloss over. I think maybe they don't pay attention to it that much with Priest, is that Rob is very detailed, especially when it comes to their quote unquote monster songs. So like if you think about um uh
Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler. Yep, that's exactly what I was trying to think of. You think about Nightcrawler, you think about Demonizer, you think about the Sentinel, the Sinner, Exciter, what was the one off Hellbent? Killing Machine.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes they've got the kind of cliche songs, and then other times, I mean, just the way he's very almost um novel like with his descriptions.
Yeah. Oh, Judas Priest, great writing. It's just, and that's the thing with them. There's so much variety within. They're a band where everything would gel together for the most part for their albums, but you still have variety. I think of uh, Killing Machine, or if we go with the UK version of Hellbent for Leather, but Evening Star and some of the almost ballad type songs were great. I mean, kind of make it fit in for 70s music, but then you'd have this crazy 70s metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Priest was great at just a good variety in their albums.
Chris O'Connor says, I love how people are so scared of big metal guys with beards, and you're just awesome teddy bears.
Not that scary.
No,
Scary enough that people might.
probably more scarier the closer you get, though, just because it's more about the ugliness than it is anything else. But
If somebody starts talking metal, then yeah, it doesn't. Any kind of scariness is going to fade away quick. It's like, what? Yeah, let's talk.
I
All
mean,
right, next
it's
band
kind
up.
of like I don't know if you've ever seen the post where it says, um, "I wear my veteran hat not because I'm trying to brag, but I'm trying to find other veterans." It's the same way with metalheads. Like we don't wear our shirts for any other real reason other than to see is there anybody in the family around me.
Yeah, exactly. Is anybody gonna, even if they just look at you and kind of go like this, or
Or great shirt, or I saw them, and whatever, and you get at least maybe a 3-minute sidebar conversation in a grocery store or something.
yeah, doesn't happen too often here, but yeah, that's ultimately what you're looking for, somebody to recognize and say something. All right, next band, Germany, power metal, Halloween. Favorite album, go with Walls of Jericho. Um, Kai Hansen, I know it was kind of between that and then the EP Judas. Wasn't in the band for too long. I think he was still in, I guess he was in the band for both the Keeper albums,
Yeah.
guitar, but I love those songs. And talk about Priest. I mean, Walls of Jericho just had that late 70s, early 80s Priest sound, but
Mm.
with a German flair to it. But my favorite song, another one that some would say, oh, that was kind of played out, or oh, you saw that on MTV, or, but some of my favorite songs are ones that got stuck in my head, and when I hear them, they just pull back memories from the late 80s and early 90s. So my favorite song would be I Want Out. Just a fun, I
I
kind of,
somehow saw that coming when you
yeah,
were talking, the
kind of,
video.
it's an anthem. It's kind of like Lizzie Borden meets the world. It's one of
Yeah.
those kind of raise your fist and you're like screw the world, metal rules.
Yeah.
It's I want out. So yeah, a little poppy-ish maybe. It's not one of their heaviest, certainly not longest songs because it's only 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my go-to song. But I'm gonna keep my metal card with definitely saying that Walls of Jericho is my album.
Definitely. And that album really very easily could have been almost considered a thrash album if it really hadn't been for Kai's vocals, because you don't get a whole lot of that um,
Yeah.
in the, so yeah, that's my favorite Halloween album as well. I don't think they had a lot after that that were terrible necessarily. Had some dumb names and some dumb album covers. Um,
Yeah.
Pink
They went
Bubblegums Eight comes to mind.
they tried to go the silly route but didn't quite pull it off. They didn't have the typo negative. They may have had
Yeah,
the heat, but
it's
it didn't.
not. The funny thing is, it seems easier to do the gloomier you are. Like you already sound happy. You can't be happy and silly at the same time in metal and have it work.
Halloween was too cartoony with their silliness, whereas typo
Yeah,
negative, like you said, dark. It was dark humor.
yeah.
So totally different. But yeah, real quick, your comment about Halloween starting off. A lot of those German bands, Halloween, um, Running Wild. There was another
Mhm.
one where they all Blind Guardian, very more speed metal before they got before they all pretty much invented around the same
Hammerfall too.
power.
Those first couple of Hammerfall records.
Yeah, yep.
I'm
Other
gonna go back to the U.S. and I'm gonna add one of the other big four. I'm going to go with Anthrax. My favorite Anthrax album is Among the Living. Not a bad track on that album. But my favorite Anthrax song, and I think maybe because it has some slight hardcore leanings, is AIR. I've always loved that song. The jumpiness of the riff. I've always loved. I've always loved Anthrax's riff style because they didn't, fit the typical, West Coast thrash style when it came to riffs. They had their own thing going, but it still worked and still was able to kind of stay in the genre. Even though I think their first album was more in line of speed metal, but those next three records, Spreading the Disease, Among the Living, State of Euphoria. State of Euphoria is such an underrated album, very underrated album. And I don't know if it's maybe just because it came off the heels of their best album, or what. I mean, '88 had a lot of really great albums come out, so maybe it got kind of lost in the shuffle with that, maybe. But that's a fantastic album too.
Yep, love it. Yeah. Actually, State of Euphoria might have, after when it came out, maybe I had overplayed Among the Living. I don't know, but there was a time where I would have put State of Euphoria over Among the Living.
Which one of us is the clone?
Well, I guess you've been doing this longer than me, so that must make me the clone. But
Uh,
there's plenty of people in America that would agree with the bands that we're playing with.
yeah,
I
you're
mo-
older than me, so I guess I had to be the clone.
well, as far as doing this live stuff, but
Yeah.
anybody that, I don't know if they're looking for us to argue over, oh, that band sucks and what the hell are you thinking. I'm not I'm not doing that. I'm not
No,
here to criticize.
even if we did disagree, that's like something 20-year-olds do. Like we're, you know, closing in on 50,
I'm
respectfully.
over 50.
I'd
Yeah.
say, I mean,
Yeah,
so
ain't got time for that.
nah, ain't say the drama for your mama because it ain't for me.
All right, next band, UK, Thin Lizzy.
Ooh,
um I'd
yes,
I have to go with Jailbreak for favorite.
man, that would have been so hard for me. Oh God, that would have been so hard.
Yeah, I got into them late, so but Jailbreak,
I did too.
the songs that everybody knows, you've heard, you've heard Jailbreak a million times, but that album, that's my go-to album. But as far as my favorite song, and this album gets trashed, and I can kind of understand why.
That's
But
my favorite one. That's my
yeah,
favorite Lizzy record right there.
well, favorite song, Cold Sweat. I think Cold Sweat is
Yeah.
such a song.
Mhm.
And obviously Phil was, in the depth of
Drug
his
use.
his heroin use, and
Yeah.
he was still surrounding himself with great musicians, and I even can listen to some of their first three albums when the mood strikes and something a little different. But Cold Sweat's such a killer song, and I know it's covered. Some other bands have covered it. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely by
I
far
think
my
Testament did a cover because
of Cold Sweat.
I'm recalling Chuck Billy's vocals. I don't know if it was a standalone or if it was like a bonus track on something. I know Megadeth did it, and it's the only really good song on the Super Collider album is a cover song. So that tells you all you need to know about that one. Um, but God, until you said Cold Sweat, I would have went with the Rocker. I think that's probably my favorite. I mean, yeah, I mean when you brought up just talking Thin Lizzy, that's so hard to pick. I mean, my favorite album was easy, but like song wise, God, man, I mean, and the first about three albums, um, I think people would dismiss them as not really being a metal band. They were more like a rock band, hard rock band, or whatever.
Yeah.
But you can start getting out album 4, 5, and 6. Like it may not be all the time, but then again, also in the '70s and in the early '80s, what people fail to understand is metal albums and metal bands weren't all raw all the fucking time. Like there was other stuff going on, especially when the genre was first getting created in the late '60s, early '70s. You know, that's why some bands, some people would go on a limb and can consider Cream or Blue Cheer or somebody like that to be like the four fathers of metal or whatever. But man, talk about songs like Cold Sweat and The Rocker and Jailbreak and just so many other tunes they have that are easily could be defined as metal songs.
Absolutely.
Both would look much younger without the wizard beards. Yeah, but I don't know about him, but I would look a lot uglier. So it's definitely this is definitely for everybody else's best interest.
Nobody would recognize me with that beard. For some people, think I'd scare my students with it. I think they'd be scared if I came in without it.
And this isn't even my wizard beard because I had to cut it back in January. So I started all over in January. So this is only like 9 or so months worth.
Yeah, we won't talk about how many years I've been growing mine. I lose far too many hair to, to get ZZ Top.
There was actual real color in there, not the gray when you started.
Yeah, that's true. All right, what's up next?
All right, another American band. I am gonna shift all the way out to Seattle, Washington. I think Seattle. Um, Queensryche has been a favorite band, one of my favorite bands for a very long time. Um, so much so that I really could not see myself listening to the Todd Latour era, just because of how everything kind of, you know, the side of the story, at least that I read anyway, I really didn't like that dismissal. You know, not going to take anything away from Todd, his abilities or anything like that. But I did eventually give it and start, listen to it a little bit. But my favorite one is Operation Mindcrime. I
Mm,
think, you know, to me, when you talk about great concept albums, when you have one that really fits the narrative of the time now, as opposed to when it was released all the way back in '88. Like this album, it like every day from the point that album came out, you could look and go, I see where they were getting this from because it's real life. It really is.
yeah,
The line in Revolution Calling where he's like, I used to trust the media to tell me the truth, and that was the truth. You know, we're living in it now. Like,
yeah.
who do you trust to get all your information from? Um, but I digress. My favorite song is actually "Take Hold of the Flame." I love his God. I am a huge Jeff Tate fan, and I'm not going to apologize for it at all. That that scream he hits at the very beginning of that song, like I don't know very many other people that have ever probably hit that one. To be honest, that at least the singers that I've heard.
Hmm.
I think that's just like, I mean, you ever hear a high note hit so high your throat hurts, and you weren't even what you didn't even sing it?
Yeah, the warning would have to be that's by far my favorite. The EP is great, but just because it's short, I
Right. Yeah.
lean towards warning. And so yeah, I would that's why I didn't touch them because I would have to pick a favorite track off of that, which I probably could, but that wouldn't have fit the theme for the show tonight.
Right.
But yeah, and of course Operation. I got to see them on that tour. I think it was 1990. So it was they toured that one for a while. So that was
Yeah, because they
maybe
toured with Metallica
89,
on this one.
right before Empire came out. They were still
Yeah.
touring. Yup, yup, yup. All right, next up from Canada, and now I don't know. I guess within that was another one of those bands like you said. Some people look at it more hard rock and the earlier stuff. This another one doesn't fit for metal, but I'm throwing out this favorite album is actually Presto. So later, some people hate it. I know those that, maybe if I had grown up listening to them in the 70s, um, I didn't like Geddy Lee's voice. My brother, younger brother, had a friend who idolized the band, and the kid was preteen and teenager, and he was better. Tons of drummers out there. He was a kid. He was phenomenal because he studied Neil Peart. Um, and so he was really Rush. My brother kind of rode his coattails and listened to Rush. I couldn't. Fly by Night, I think, was one of the songs I did kind of like. But when I heard Presto, I got the album, and at that point, I liked Geddy's voice. I could handle it. I started going back. Um, Another one, so no big surprise because all over the radio. Tom Sawyer. I think if you overlook the fact that it's a poppier song,
Yeah.
not people that are big into prog and they've got to have the guitar, crazy guitar solo minutes and keyboard extraordinaire. I just the topic of it, the melody, the lyrics. I I can understand why so many people got pulled into the band because of that song. So I had earlier Rush fans, and then you had your 81. I think that's when that came out, 80 or 81. And from there on, you had a whole new set of people. Some people fell off because they weren't doing the big long prog stuff anymore. And then I like some of the 90s stuff was kind of a mix. It was starting to get back to some really good songwriting that they lost in the mid 80s. And but they also had, the technicality of some of the songs too. So like Presto and Roll the Bones, I think they're great albums. I would argue anybody and everybody's entitled to their opinion. Some people say anything after Hemispheres is garbage, and well, you're entitled to your opinion. And the people that don't like the band at all, I I know there's people out there that like I understand how skilled they are. Can't handle the music. That's fine. Prog music is not for
It,
and
it
right
definitely is now.
through that. And people that live, breathe heavy metal, some of those other genres are not for them too, and that's perfectly fine. But I can listen to just about anything that Rush came out with and still enjoy it. So
Yeah,
again, later
I
stuff.
definitely enjoy their '70s output a lot better. Just because I think there's more of a hard rock edge to their earlier stuff.
Hmm.
Uh, Caress of Steel is my favorite. And to your part about Tom Sawyer, who hasn't air drummed to that song? Like it like sucks you in to want to, even if you've never done it before. Like, um, man, favorite song though that would be kind of hard. I'm not even gonna try.
Yeah, I mean, I could have gone different. Of course, like solo songs. I could have picked one for that. I could have done. You can do eras. I could have picked
Yeah,
something from during the 70s, but I just if somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, I've never listened to this band before. Tell me one song to listen to," I'd say start with Tom Sawyer. Listen to
I, I'd
handle.
probably start with. I would just tell them listen to the first album.
Yeah, I mean, as far as then again, like you said, that kind of fits hard rock. I love the first album, but that one's kind of got a little different vibe. It's much 70s, much more hard rock. I'd put that in with Thin Lizzy and Scorpions. But of course, once you get into their second, third, fourth albums, you've got a completely different beast when Neil came into the
Yeah.
band.
All right, my last one. I'm gonna go with the Mighty Merciful Fate. My favorite album of theirs is probably their shortest full length as far as songs is concerned because they only got 7 songs on it. Melissa is just like if you could have if they would have reworked a little bit the songs from the EP and then added it to it, like it could have been like the best debut album ever. It would have went past Iron Maiden for me.
Mm,
But there's only 7 songs, and one of the songs is like 11 minutes long. Um, but my favorite song of theirs actually came the record after, from "Don't Break the Oath," and is the final track on that. "Come to the Sabbath." I just
mm.
I love the kind of it's anthemic without it really being an anthem. If that really makes any sense.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what my favorite song would be. That was another band I stayed clear of because I'd have such a hard time with that. Maybe Curse of the Pharaohs. Really, yeah, it's really hard for me to pigeonhole a favorite. And you know what? Every time I think of Melissa, I always end up having the song from In the play, especially because I listened to that like a week or so ago. But Is That You, Melissa? And that
Right.
song ends up playing in my head. Like, no, 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 dude, that's wrong decade, wrong
Yeah.
group. Is that at that point? Well, I guess no. Hank and Michael Denner were still in the band. Had
Yeah.
come back to the band at that point. But I would love to hear some new music from King Diamond or Merciful Fate. I don't know. I mean, he's still touring, so can't be. It's not.
Yeah.
Can't sing. I just maybe I don't know. Haven't been able
If,
to come up.
if you need to scratch that itch, check out a band called Attic, Attic.
I remember you, yeah, mentioning them, and
And there's another band called Them.
I've got
Um,
I've got
and
one
it,
of the.
yeah, it's real easy to see where they get all of their inspiration from, because even songwriting wise, it sounds like King Diamond type records.
Yeah, yep. All right, last one for me. So back to the U.S. now. Striper, favorite album by far, Soldiers Under Command. Just that to me, that's their heavy. I think their most heavy metal. I know some fans will go back even earlier to the EP that came before that one, but love Soldiers as an album. Favorite song though comes from To Hell with the Devil, and I have to include the intro to it. So Abyss, To Hell with the Devil, favorite song. Some of their new music may be heavier, but from this time period, that was yeah. I mean, that song was showing up on all sorts of mixed, uh, comps with other bands. Um, I can't say the rest of the album grabbed me. I mean, I know that they had some hits off of it, but um, yeah, once again, if I have to listen to a full album, I'll go with Soldiers Under Command. But I love To Hell with the Devil as a track. To me, that's kind of like Angel of Death with
Mhm.
not my favorite album, but certainly my favorite song from the band.
That would be it'd be hard for me to pick between those two albums for me. Um, yeah, I don't know which one I would pick album wise. Um, Song wise, song wise would maybe be something off one of the newer albums. Um, I know a lot of people gave this song a lot of crap, but I think "Take It to the Cross" was really good. Um, it really kind of had like a thrashy moment to it in the chorus.
I've got all the newer ones, but there's some of them that just haven't. I think like the last two albums of theirs, it really songs have kind of stuck in my head, and when I play it, I can almost sing along with the songs at this point. Is No
Mhm.
More Hey and Fallen. So those two that came out in the mid 2000s.
Yeah.
Uh, then all the ones after they've been great. They've been really good. The most recent one, The Final Battle. I think they're great albums, but I still haven't. Maybe I just don't listen to them those songs to really stick with me. But musically, they're great. I mean, great songwriting. As far as the record, the recordings themselves, top notch. I think whatever studio they're using, whoever's
Yeah.
producing. I've even pre-ordered their Christmas album that they've got coming out.
Do you have their what was it called? Trying to think the name of to help with the amps, the acoustic thing.
I got it on CD. I didn't splurge on the record on that one, but it's decent. It's, to me, it reminds me of the Second Coming, where they just reworked. Of course, this was acoustic.
Right.
My wife Liz and I got to see them in Franklin on the tour, the little acoustic tour which it was cool. Oz wasn't there because he was dealing with some treatments. It was either he or dealing with some stuff, and he wasn't be there. But it was still cool. It was fun. So, I know you had done a video yesterday. I think you had done one. I mentioned, or maybe it was today. I was going to do one, and then just there's been a bunch of stuff going on. But and tomorrow I won't be able to. But of course, this will be pre-recorded. But I had one package come in from a mutual friend of ours, and then another one came in today, a little thicker. I was like, I'm just gonna I'll do a video and just bust those open and just kind of quickly share out. Because there was so much Ron had, and even now I'm thinking, I wonder if he still has this. I still wonder if he has that.
Right.
Like, so I wasn't able to find his list. I looked yesterday, and I don't know if he did change one of his settings on his Facebook, but I wasn't able to see his list. But I don't know. I might end up springing for a third go round. But I know you got some stuff, or you were planning on getting some stuff, and
just waiting to getting all the money together to pay for this car registration. Not fun when it's a brand new vehicle. So
yeah. Well, I'm sure he's fine with setting stuff aside.
I mean, we've made deals before, and I've sent him payments and stuff like that. So I mean, I'm just hoping nobody was able to get the ones I want, and hopefully he's gonna be patient enough to wait for me to, because I mean I picked so many. Like, this is probably gonna be upwards of $1,000 worth of records. That's just gonna have to be spread out in payments over time, because I'm
running room, so I held back on some. Now I feel bad. I mean, I know he doesn't, and that's the important thing.
right.
I'm sure, if I were getting rid of some of my collection, I'd feel better knowing who the records or CDs were going to. So I'm sure,
Right. Yeah.
helps a bit.
That's why I had to let him know that I'm like, if you sell them to Joe, he's just gonna buy them to sell them. But if you sell them to me, I'm gonna be listening to them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I typically Joe's prices are good. He lowers things down from what you would find on Discogs.
Mm-hmm.
And again, he gets stuff. He's gonna make some money off of what he gets. So there's times he's selling.
Oh yeah, right.
You find a rarity, a new wave of British heavy metal 7-inch single, and he may be selling it for $200. Well, you'd probably pay 350, 400 anywhere. But
I remember one of the videos he did. There was an OG pressing of Morbid Visions, I think it was.
Mm.
Um, I think he was selling for like 40, but I mean, I can only imagine what that original would really go for, which is why I went ahead when the Cavalier Boys re-recorded those first three releases. I went ahead and bought those because you know I didn't see me being able to afford an original copy of any of them.
Well, those remixed or re-recorded ones, from what a lot of people say, sound better anyway. Yeah, I
They
mean,
do, especially the first two. Like I didn't think Schizophrenia had that terrible of production, um,
no, that's a
but
good one.
More Revisions and Bestial Devastation, their production was horrible originally, and they didn't upgrade it so much to where it sounded too overproduced. It still had a raw enough sound to it, so that's what I like about those releases.
Yeah, and sometimes it's fun going back and just listening to that raw stuff. Occasionally I like listening to demo material. It may be digitalized. I don't have a cassette demo collection. At least not anything from the 80s. But yeah, even just digital or even things that have been transferred to to record
Yeah,
demo material. Sometimes I like hearing that raw, the early stages of a song. They were just
they did
recording.
a a series in the late '90s where they did um, everything up to and I maybe including Roots. They did gold discs of, and what they did was they combined the EP and the first LP together on one
Yeah,
disc,
that's right.
and that's what I had everything on that with the exception of Schizophrenia. That was one like that was like just not easy to find, so I didn't hear it until like way, way, way later.
Yeah, there were a few. I think that was Roadrunner
Yeah,
that did
Roadrunner.
that
Hmm.
did the gold, and I thought I had a few of those, but now I'm trying to think what other band. I thought it was one of the Sepultura that I had the gold version, but no, I'm not sure. Or it may have been something I got rid of at some point. I don't know. I start losing track of because some of the CDs I haven't listened to in years, so lose track of what I still have.
Right. That's why I have the photo albums on Facebook, so that way I don't buy the same thing twice.
Yeah. And like I showed you in the past, I've got my, everything categorized, but uh, sometimes I don't mark down like the CDs. I not mark down if it's a color, you know. Even one of the Stripers I was listening to this morning on way to work is a gold. It was the Reborn CD, and it's a gold version. But
Mhm.
I don't think on my list I put down that it's gold. Just remember when I pull it out and go to play it,
Right. Like, oh yeah,
it's gold.
there's gold in them there CDs.
Yeah. I don't think anybody would probably pay more than $10 for it, but
Right. Well, I mean, at the rate that people are trying to really overprice the physical media these days, like I think my wife paid almost $30 for original CD of Necroshine.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can remember when I sold off some of my CDs, and yeah, there were some rare stuff, especially the black metal stuff, and some rare death metal that and people were willing to pay, 20, $30. I don't know. I may have had some stuff that sold more for the 40 or 50 range, but like
Especially if it was like um a
first release.
very hard to find CD, or you know they
I had,
only came out on CD. There are only like 500 made, and you
yeah,
know, especially when you had, especially a lot of the black metal bands didn't do a lot of touring. Um, A lot of them were like 2-man projects. So touring really didn't happen. So obviously they don't have a big enough, funds to be able to, press a whole lot of CDs. And even when you did get a CD, it literally had one thin piece of paper as um the booklet, but it wasn't even a booklet. It was the cover on one side and maybe the track listing on the other, and that was really like all you had.
Yeah. Yeah. I had two of the demos on CD for the New York death metal band Internal Bleeding, and I think it was Wild Rags Records that had released them. But I know I sold both of those for a good amount of money. I'm thinking that I don't know if they were presses. I thought they were original, from the early '90s, but yeah, those I probably got for at least $30 or $40. I have no idea what they would go for now, because that was probably about 15 years ago that I sold those. Well, I think we've only got 2 viewers at this point, and we got more. I don't know. Some of the comments, I was like, eh.
Yeah, I was looking at some of those comments. I'm just like, okay, so this is like a bunch of spam or bots or whatever.
Yeah,
But
yeah. It was some political stuff, and I don't know. So
I ignored all that crap.
there were a few legitimate people with comments.
I was surprised that Ron didn't say anything. I know he said he was going to watch. Maybe he didn't get to do it. I don't know.
Yeah, there wasn't any. I didn't. There wasn't anybody that I recognized from the vinyl world there. So no biggie. Maybe it's Monday. People be off, and then I'll watch another time.
Once it's posted, you might get some other people watching and commenting. So
Yeah,
who knows?
that's up to them. I had a good time sharing out.
Oh yeah, it was a great time. It was a great time.
Yep, yep. All right,
I know.
brother.
All right, man.
You have a good evening. Be well, and I don't know. With Ron getting rid of some of his collection, I'm not sure what the rock realm
I
is looking
I
like.
actually asked him about that, and he was like, "Yeah, we're still do stuff." He's like, "I can still make lists, just won't
Yeah,
have anything to show."
yeah, yeah. I thought about that too. He's still, he's got his bank of knowledge here,
Right.
so I'm glad to hear that, because I wasn't sure whether or not he was, just trying to do less of the streaming stuff and this channel, but
Yeah. Yeah. I was already already starting to come up with a backup plan if he said he was going to stop doing it. So
mm,
I was like, well, that just means we'll have to go at it harder.
yeah. All right, brother.
All
You have
right,
a
man. Have a
good night.
good night.
Yep, I'll get this posted as soon as I can. Peace
All
out.
right, man. Later.